Hey guys, how's it going today? Man, that looks weird. A little fuzzy on it. How's everyone doing today?
There we go. That must have sounded crazy for a second. I think I fixed it. That was weird. Will it do it over here? No. Okay, cool. Looks like we're good. That was really odd. Alright, cool. We're set then. How's everyone doing? How are things? Update me. Give me some updates, people. Or all I do is talk about myself for the next hour. Whoa. Trying to see what filters are on here, like. Whoa, that's what it is. Damn. That just looks crazy. Yeah, that doesn't seem to help. I don't know if that makes things better. Kind of does. A lot less blurry. Yeah, I'll keep that. I like the look. Cool. So what's up, guys? How's everything been? How are your dumpsters? Are they on fire? Are they full of maggots? Are they fairly clean? How's everyone's dumpster doing? People are gonna start thinking I mean something else. Yeah. By dumpster, I mean your lives. The dumpster that is your life. How is it doing? Good? Hopefully well. Hopefully you're putting healthy trash in. Getting rid of all that bad shit. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, on Tuesdays, I kind of want to bring up a certain topic. I'm waiting for a different operation to finish. Probably going to take 49. Wow. It's going to be a while. Today, on Tuesdays, I kind of want to talk about like a specific topic that's been just kind of like rattling in my head. And if other people decide to jump on and want to talk about it, cool. If nobody does, then I'll just kind of talk about that and whatever else pops into my head over the next hour and a half or so. But what I am going to be talking about today is something that I've noticed is kind of, how do I put this? I don't want to say popular. It's like a weird word. Common. I feel like a lot of schizoids have, sometimes, well, not a lot, but I speak to a lot of them that have like associated or other medical issues and things like that, conditions, and and obviously having schizoid PD is a condition in some ways, and other ways I don't agree, but there's still a lot of struggles, right? And when it comes to certain types of medical conditions, I feel like there's a parallel there as to the amount of misunderstanding and misattribution that occurs depending on what it is you're talking about, right? And there's this kind of oh, you love how the heart can block the channel. I'm schizoid that makes music. I think you'd like. I'm a schizoid that makes music. I think you'd like me. Okay. Can send some songs to add to your live streams. Well, if you're already on the server, DM me if you're interested. I don't know who you are. You're the first time I've seen here, but yes. But remember, schizoids don't usually... I'm not prone to just like people, just want to clarify that. But if there's something you'd like to contribute in any way, I would be willing to listen. So, whatever. Anyway. As I was saying... Oh, yeah. Invisible... No, I'm not... No, I don't want it sent to my email. I mean, I have an email... I mean, it just... if you want to send it to my email, just use fine. Here. Actually, I have an email for this, so that's fine. Sorry. I see. I don't know if it's actually actively available. I mean, it's on my YouTube thing, so you can actually see my About Me. All right. Here's my email for anybody that needs it. There you go. That's my email. Okay. So I can't promise anything. I can't promise I'll use it, and I definitely can't promise I'll like you, but I'll check it out if you send it. Yeah, I wanted to talk about invisible conditions or invisible diseases. That's actually something that's really interesting to me. And I know a few people with this stuff, and I would say in some ways many schizoids all have this kind of invisible suffering. And some of it is invisible by choice, right? We don't want to go around complaining and bitching. And, you know, it's this whole like self-sufficiency and autonomy thing us schizoids love to prioritize over, you know, even our both our mental and physical health sometimes. You know, and but I'm talking about also conditions where you're outwardly seeking help and no one can do anything about it, or no one supposedly can, or no one listens, or no one takes it seriously. And there's two in particular that, like, I go online and I see a lot of doctors, both in the psychiatric field as well as you know, in the medical field, just kind of talk nonstop shit about, and not all of them do, obviously, but there is kind of this weird, I don't know, stigma or whatever around, well, one that's been even longer, and I've seen this shit get pretty badly treated for a while, is fibromyalgia. And the other one would be chronic fatigue syndrome. And it's like, anytime I see many members of the medical community talk about it, they say it's psychosomatic. Both of them sometimes. And the psychiatric community, they say, oh, it's just depression. If you treat the depression, the chronic fatigue will go away. This kind of stuff really, it's really weird, because it kind of calls to an even bigger problem, which is the absolute inconsideration for the lived experience of the person who actually is suffering. It's really weird. It's almost like as if I'm not saying it is, but it's almost as if they're in their training. They have to learn to just sort of not pay attention to the lived experience of the person, because that's like flawed or not worth listening to, and just pay attention to the behaviors or the symptoms and then ignore everything else. And you can ask them like where they have pain and what they sort of feel, and then once you make a judgment on what it probably is, that's it, right? And I've medical science is a mess right now. It's in Peru, but it's still weird right now. Yeah, and I've encountered this myself, right? Like, if you've taken medication, it's especially weird, because if you're taking SSRIs or stimulants or whatever, every body is going to have a very different experience, because the side effects are going to vary. I mean, you've seen the list of side effects for a lot of this stuff, right? And so some mixture of side effects or drugs just kind of coming together in certain ways, it's gonna produce a specific result that might require certain types of advice and kind of more catered advice as to how it is that it should be taken care of or done. I know it's not all the fault of the medical community because, like you said, their killing time itself, it's all like a mess, and insurance gets involved, and they're probably trying to plow through like way too many patients at a time, and all kinds of other shit like that. But what's kind of tragic is that there's these conditions like fibromyalgia as well as chronic fatigue syndrome that, like, man, I talk to people that are just like not having a good time. I know a few with the chronic fatigue. I only know like 2 people with fibromyalgia. Another one I know about is some of these connective tissue disorders, and it's pretty fucked that a lot of this stuff is just being studied as psychosomatic, when I know these people are literally wanting to die because of this stuff, not because they're sad. I mean, like, they literally just, they can manage their depression, but the chronic pain they're in and discomfort or exhaustion is just so, it's just too much on top of everything else. And because they're already depressed, they often, the medical community will just kind of conflate that with their depression. Oh, their depression is making some sensitivity worse, and so if we cure the depression, your pain will improve. And that's not true, because some of these people have had improvements in some categories through sort of philosophical meandering like I do, or therapy of various kinds, perhaps some kind of medications for certain types of depression or anxiety. But the chronic pain is still there. The chronic pain is still continues. It continues, and it doesn't end for them. That part doesn't just go away. And then of course the chronic pain turns into more depression. That's what I find interesting. Like they want to live their lives, even if the depression subsides, they get depressed about being chronic pain. And I myself, I don't suffer from any particular kind of chronic pain or anything. I don't know. I get weird stuff in my body. It's probably because I'm getting old. Up and downs here and there. I do have weird sensitivities to things like I can't drink caffeine, right? To me, I know it's minor, but like to me that's kind of like a very odd but very unique sort of like invisible condition I have to deal with, right? And obviously it's nothing like the ones I mentioned, nothing like that, because it's not chronic pain related. But like I can't drink coffee. Coffee makes me sick, and it doesn't give me any energy. It makes me feel really gross, jittery, and sick and nauseous. So I don't have the decision to drink coffee in the morning when I don't get enough sleep, or drink coffee to pull an all-nighter, or whatever it is people use coffee for all the time. I can't make any of those decisions. And so even if I'm in a workplace, right, I'm expected to perform at the same level as the people that are just drinking coffee and feeling a lot better that morning. It's just, it's a stupid example. I know it's a silly example because it's so minor. But all I'm saying is that there's these kind of weird, very unique situations where your entire ability to deal with something is compromised, and there's just zero consideration for any of it, because we're just supposed to be producers, right? We're just gotta keep chugging along, keep making shit. It's so fucking disheartening. It really is. And so when I talk to people with something like fibromyalgia, like they can't work. Like they literally just cannot fucking get up in the morning. They're in, like, some days they're good, they're kind of okay, they're like hurting, but it's manageable. The meds are, holding it off enough or whatever. And then some days they're just like a fucking mess. They're just fucked up. Fucking hair, it's bugging me. It's like a weird strand. It's not looking right. Bugging me. Anyway, And then I think about it even further, and imagine having a chronic disease and being a woman. It's like, mother of God. You know, women already have to deal with a certain level of chronic pain. Well, it's not chronic, but it's like it's a sequence that occurs every month that puts them through, depending on. See, that's another thing, right? You'll have women that, oh no, they have, you know, cramps and it's bad, but then you'll have women that they have cramps and it's just like fucking debilitating. Like they can't get out of bed. Right? Now you combine factors like those, right? And then, you know, something like fibromyalgia, which is interestingly, if I remember correctly, recurring. Thank you. If I remember correctly, in the case of fibromyalgia, it's mostly in women, right? My wife has to manage certain pain. Yeah, PCOS. Oh my God, PCOS is like a nightmare, dude. Like, that's the kind of stuff that when those women have when they get cramps, it's like a knife going in their fucking stomach, man. And they just gotta go to fucking work. It's just crazy to me, stuff like that, right? And then what if that same woman, you know, has like a fucking sciatic nerve pain? Because like my wife, that's what she deals with, right? On her left leg, she's got a fucked up sciatic nerve thing. And if she stands in the wrong way for a certain period of time, or she slept kind of weird or crooked, or, you know, I don't know, wore the wrong kind of shoes, sat in the wrong kind of chair for too long, she's gonna be in pain for like 2 weeks, right? And she has to take meds, right? When this flares up, and it only happens a couple, maybe like 2 or 3 times, maybe like twice a year, I'm guessing. It'll kind of flare up. But before, it would just fucking last. Now she could just pop some gabapentins and it'll last a week or so. Like, it'll calm down sooner, but it'll still be like some pretty fucking uncomfortable, to say the least, amount of pain anytime you're just sitting in the wrong way or can't lay down. She can't sleep. Like, she gets woken up by fucking just nerve shots going through her, burning nerve shots going, you know, from her like lower back past her ass all the way to fucking her her ankle. Just a burning pain. It's like, fucked, man. I might be pulling this out of my ass, but aren't women more prone to chronic pain? Yeah, you know what's really interesting about women and chronic pain? I know I've read like studies about, yes, they're more prone, but I've also seen studies about how it tends to like it'll actually frequently occur after they have like children too. Sometimes there's like a higher, I don't know. It just depends. It's all a toss up. That's the thing. It's all just dice rolling, right? All this shit's RNG, genetic RNG. But it's just there's so many things that people suffer with because of this genetic RNG that we make no fucking room for. Like, it's just, oh, you can't work? Better figure it out. Oh, gonna go on disability because you're just like fucked up every other day of the week? Oh, you're gonna be poor as shit. And you're probably gonna have to live with a bunch of roommates or with your family, and you or something, or if you're even allowed to do that, because then maybe you won't get it. Like, it's just all this crazy shit, man. And imagine like getting someone that's disabled, right? It's disabled, probably depressed about the disability and all kinds of other shit, and then they have to go through the red tape and bureaucracy of a fucking phone calls and being on hold and just like rejections and glitches. It's just like, man. And then people jump off a goddamn building and everyone's wondering, oh, how the hell did that happen? That's crazy. They must have, they really should have hung in there. It's like, damn, man. And then I think about like something like that happening to somebody that's a schizoid, and I'm just like, that shit breaks my heart, man. Like, I'm like, yo, like, this person is not being like heard, like, existentially, fucking medically, psychiatric wise. Like, it's just, man. And I don't know. I just have right now. I'm like stuck on this fascination with like, I'm trying to learn a bunch of stuff about fibromyalgia right now, and I want to learn more about stuff like chronic fatigue, right? Because it's not like, because like, this is the thing. The people that I'm talking about that I know, and the people that I've seen talk about this on other channels and other things, yo, these people are like fucking miserable. Like, they're not like going like, oh, you know, they're not living off the back of the taxpayer, like feeling fucking great. And look, I'll be honest, like, I understand there are people out there that will take advantage of certain things. There are people out there that probably make up that they have this shit. I absolutely believe that, right? Obviously, right? It's not just like fucking, when it comes to medical conditions like this, it isn't just listen and believe. Shit's dumb. Can't do that either, right? But it's like they don't even properly test for this shit, or they don't even know how it works. And instead of money being poured in to figure out how the fuck this thing works, it's just like, oh, well, there's some trials, maybe. You want to sign up for a trial? It's in like 8 months. It's crazy, man. Like, I was talking to somebody told me that has fibromyalgia, was telling me that if they go to like a pain clinic where they live, all they're gonna do is like make them do like workbooks and shit, and give them like nutritional suggestions, and then give them like certain types of medications that kind of like sometimes work and a lot of times don't. And then they won't give them like opioids and shit, because, you know, the opioid epidemic too. So it's what the fuck are these people supposed to do, right? I mean, that's why some of these people end up fucking getting strung out on fucking heroin and shit. Like heroin, fucking backflipping. Imagine being like in a situation where like your body's just, and you might be one of these people, but your body's just like fucked, and you're in pain all the time, and you just go to your doctor and then just go, sorry, I got nothing for you, take some of this, why don't you try eating less spaghetti? I don't know, I'm just shit talking. And then you go on a waiting list for like a pain clinic, and you finally get there after like 6 months or 8 months or longer, sometimes years. And then they tell you, oh, just let's talk about it. Let's see if we can reconceptualize your agony. Maybe we meditate your way out of, you know, your body just fucking quite literally causes necrosis to your limbs after time. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, but it's just, and then they're like, that's what's funny, is that like when you have like these conditions and these various types of chronic pain, and not enough research is being poured into it to figure it out. But eating less spaghetti actually worked for an individual who has a harder time processing heavy foods. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I get that. I get that, Joe Mama. But that, like, they'll say, oh, just eat so you don't get like low inflammation foods and like stuff like that. It's like, for a lot of the people, yeah, they might help like a smidgen, or maybe they'll get like one more day a week where they're not like feeling horrible. But it's just like, what? How is this like just an ongoing thing? I often wonder how many people in the world are just like dealing with a significant amount of chronic pain, and just for the longest time it was just opioids. It was like wild because there's just no interest in solving it, right? And I was talking to the same person. Oh, here, let me switch over here. Give me a second here, just in case I got. Oh, look, Shadow's here too. All right, hold on. Hey, Shadow.
Morning, fella.
What happened?
You said morning.
Oh, you sounded really quiet.
Am I quiet right now?
Yeah, you're kind of quiet. I'm not sure why you're quiet, but you are.
No.
A little less quiet. You sound tired though. Are you all right?
No, I'm fine. I was pulling out my mouse, but because the way my wires are set up, it moved my headphone wire a little bit.
Yeah, you sound like you're in a tin can or something.
All right, let me.
Crazy thing is that we look at this shit and go, must be the druggies problem. Nope. Definitely not the pre-existing conditions that caused them to do it. Yeah, and I was talking to a few other people. I was talking to one of the same peeps that has the fibromyalgia. You know, the only hope, I tell them, is that just hope that enough people in positions of power and people that are in the medical community that are influential get this stuff. Like, you want them to get fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue and things of this nature, like a lot of kind of neuroses and stuff. You want those people to get it. I don't want to wish that stuff on anyone, but that's the only way they'll actually like do anything about it, is when somebody with a significant amount of influence gets the thing. Because then that person, it's like, well, now we got to figure it out because so and so has it, or so and so's daughter or son has it. And so now we got to figure it. Now we got to pour millions into it.
I mean, that's just kind of human nature, no?
Yeah, it's sick, dude.
But no, I meant like it's not necessarily.
I don't consider that human nature. I consider that like some fucking bullshit concept of what we call human nature. Like it's just some fucking bullshit that we have been constantly just regurgitating to ourselves about, like, oh, you know, that's just humans, that's how they are. It's like, I get that's not how it should be though. That's not
I
how
wouldn't have cared about
be.
schizoid disorder had I not been fucked up myself.
Well, then I don't know. Fucking learn to metacognate better. It's like I don't understand that. Maybe I'm just a fucking weirdo that like thinks about shit like this. Maybe it's just a schizo thing. But I just don't. I like this stuff bugs the shit out of me. Things like this don't. I'll have like a monthly or weekly thing that I like, because my brain can't think about them all at once, right? And if I try to, that's how I get, you know, go into fucking a state of psychosis or something and go into psychotic depression. But I can handle one every month that'll just stick with me, right? I think it's less not caring and more not understanding. Yeah, but this is what's weird. It's not caring about learning anything that isn't outside of
that's a little different. There is a difference between deliberately not caring about something and just simply not having an interest in pursuing everything.
You don't have to pursue everything, but I think there needs to be a certain level. Oh, here, let me switch camera.
Well, I meant like what I was trying to argue earlier was that I'm not going to be interested in everything. But if the problem were given to me and I am of the field that solves these types of problems, like say I am a psychologist, and I was presented, like for the example I used with schizoid stuff, instead of deliberately saying I don't care, I'm not interested, that is my field of work. Now that it's presented to me, I may not be as efficient as someone who is interested, like more like personally involved with it, but I will still like work at it nonetheless because that's kind of like my field. So that's the difference.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would make sense, right? Like if it's your field, why wouldn't you want to learn fucking everything you can about the thing you decided that you want to dedicate your life to.
Yeah, on that I agree with you.
But my point is that okay, there's a difference between hold on, I'm fixing something. Why is it flipping you? Fucking thing. Sorry. I'm trying to flip your fucking thing and it keeps doing this other thing I don't want it to. Alright, there we go. We're good now.
Why are you flipping me? Why are you flipping me off?
I'm flipping us so it looks like we're talking. Anyway, so yeah, but like to me there's one level. There's like different levels of knowledge, right? And there is one subject matter, personally, and this is my own philosophy or whatever, and you know, obviously I can't, everyone has their autonomy, so whatever, can't do anything about that, but and that's like level 1 is just knowing the basics about something and understanding it, right? And then you have every other level after that, and you know, more detail. I think that human beings, and this is just my pipe dream bullshit, whatever, they really need to get to level 1 about anything and everything they can regarding suffering. Because we, like, all do it all the time in various ways. And especially unproductive suffering is what we need to study the most and understand. Like, that shit should be in a class. Suffering should be a course in, like, high school.
Yeah, but Angst. Counterpoint, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the sun.
Oh, shut up. You're an idiot. But that's kind of my point. Suffering needs to be, like, something that's taught in the schools. Not, like, obviously causing them suffering, but, like, the discussion of suffering and how it relates to your capacity to empathize with people outside of your local experience. Like, that should just be a fucking senior year, junior year, like the basics of that, and then college. It should be some of your fucking 101s in college. Like, suffering needs to be a course that's taught. And thinking about suffering outside of your life. Like, and like you said, maybe it's just because they don't know about it, right? And that's one thing, right? But why don't they know about it? That's because maybe that won't sell. Maybe a documentary or a TV show about it is not going to bring people. It's not going to bring seats to the. That's the only time you see the fucking like the mainstream interested type person or whatever, the normie, if you will. When the only time they give a shit about some weird kind of new form of invisible suffering is when a fucking movie's made about it and Ryan Gosling or somebody plays him. Like, it's just, that's it. Like, it always takes a fucking Rain Man. You know what I mean? And to me, that's just like, why is the teaching of suffering on the whims of popular culture, like like based on the whim of popular culture and what they put out? Should suffering be a part of just general public education? Not like, oh, you know, oh, look, they released a movie and Tom Hanks is playing a guy with fibromyalgia. Now we all care about it because Tom Hanks has it. And or dementia, this kind of dementia, that kind of dementia. Like, for example, there's a specific type of dementia, cognitive dementia, that basically attacks the cognitive portions of your mind, but not like the memory stuff, which sounds horrific. So basically you slowly stop being able to communicate and do a lot of just like read and do a bunch of just basic but your memories are still intact, but you can't even talk about them. You're just trapped in your brain with your memories, right? And I had heard about this. It's called FT, frontal lobe. Fuck. I had heard about this shit like probably, I don't know, a few years back. It's in a video on various types of dementia. And like nobody, you know, whatever, but everyone now is talking about it and bringing awareness to it on TikTok because Bruce fucking Willis has it. that's just so crazy to me, man. Like, to think that, like, it takes that. It always takes that. Oh, yeah, I'm locking out if I get any kind of dementia. I already told my wife, like, kids are grown up, they're moved out of the house, just make it, we're going to make it look like an accident. Because it is not, I am not living my life like that. So, power to Bruce Willis out there, you know, because he's all like, dude, he's nonverbal now. You believe that shit? Mr. Die Hard is currently nonverbal.
News to me.
Yeah, he's fucked up. He can't talk right. He can't read anymore. He can barely communicate. I mean, he's kind of like wandering around, kind of like confused, looked, and kind of like makes some noises a little bit. But he kind of like he's thinking, but he can't do the things. He can't talk.
And he still wants to be here. He still wants to be alive.
I fucking get it, man.
Oh,
like,
wow.
I always think, like, are people just keeping you here, man? Like, or you're just like, sometimes I feel like it's like a religion thing, maybe, like, because you can't, you know, FTD. There you go. Yeah.
It's
fucked, man. Many possible symptoms including unusual behaviors, emotional problems, trouble communicating, difficulty with work, or difficulty with walking. Yeah, all the cognitive shit. It doesn't fuck with your memories, though. That's what's so kind of grim. They're both grim, right? You either get your memories erased and then you eventually die and you can't function like that, or you know, you have a memory of a goldfish, or you just can't function, but you have all your memories. If I had to pick one, I'd rather keep my memories and just get all functional fucked up. I think the loss of self is the scariest thing. But
got some kind of out there ideas when it comes to loss of memories. I feel like I've chosen the loss of memories a few times before.
Yeah, maybe, but you don't want to lose the few that make you to some degree.
No, I like when I count them. This is on a little bit of a tangent, but I've had plenty of times where I'll have had suspicions like, have I lived other lives in which I eventually chose to redo life without my memories because I'm just that stubborn? Because I'm just really that stubborn.
Terrible isekai. Imagine this is in isekai world. They should make that an anime. Isekai into the real world. Oh no, Fantasy Prince is isekais into real world and just like make his life boring and mundane and miserable.
Except they don't make. I've seen a book that kind of did that, but it's like mainstream, not like anime stuff, and they still made it fun.
Yeah, no, make it not fun.
They still made it fun and cheery. Though.
Make it just like, no, just make him a salaryman that ends up getting married and hating his wife, and his children hate him, and then he eventually jumps off a building. But in his previous life, he has memories of being like, I don't know, an adventurer that slayed dragons or something.
Oh, there's something similar to that. I talked about it with you once, but there's a webtoon you might like called The Warrior Returns. That's kind of like that. It's really depressing.
Okay, well, that might be interesting. But,
it's not the same, but...
Yeah. But anyway, I'm getting off point here. The point for me is just there's a very basic level of understanding that could be taught, right? Like, for example, you can't teach everyone about every condition ever that's like really, really unique and rare and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. I mean, that's unrealistic, right? But what you can teach people is when you hear about something that makes people suffer that you've never heard of, take the time to learn about it, even in the most brief of ways. Or if you see someone that looks like they're having a really bad time because of a disability, just if you can figure out what the hell's going on, just learn a little bit about it. Take that extra 5 minutes. Take that extra 5 minutes.
I know this is me playing a little bit of devil's advocate because I like doing that. But As far as it comes to if I meet someone,
Yeah.
taking my actual time to learn more, just because that's something I would do of my own volition, not because it's an obligation or anything. But if I hear about something that like makes people suffer, but I have no way to connect to it whatsoever, I'm not going to care. That's just that's part of what makes me human. I'm not going to care if I have absolutely no connection to it whatsoever.
I think like part of why I'm like this, like weird about this stuff, is probably I think it's like that more schizotypal part of me, because like I have these like weird beliefs, right, when it comes to suffering. Like I have this like weird thought or belief about how when you know about some hidden or silent suffering of some kind, and you like you try to understand and empathize with it in some way, like it's somehow like there's some metaphysical um validity to acknowledging suffering that is not your own, um that is absolutely with like outside of the purview of that person being able to avoid it, or they're in a situation that they legitimately have zero choice or had any kind of control or consequence over. And I feel like just ignoring it, I don't know, like I'm weird about that stuff. Like I like to know about it, because then I'm like, okay, that's another type of terrible thing that's happening. That
I disagree.
Yeah, I know you do. That's because I'm a fucking, like I told you, I'm just like, it's just some weird
I know,
part
but
of
I
me.
disagree because both have people that do know shit. Again, with the parents that have withheld their suspected neurodivergency from me, and both of friends who have actually tuned me or streamed on a number of occasions that still don't really talk to me about it. Like they actually were interested enough to go into your streams, as I've mentioned to you before,
But they don't
and
talk
at
to you
least
about
look
it.
at the Wikipedia page, but they don't. I
Your
still have
headphones
to.
still sound fucked up. You broke them or
Is
something.
it fucked up?
I think you busted them, dude.
How bad is it?
It's like a
Because
tin can.
you let a lot of things slide.
You sound like you're in a tin can type sound.
God damn it!
It's like really
Hold
like,
that thought.
say right, like that. It's just kind of really tinny. Anyway, I mean, yeah, that's weird to me. Like not being it, like not talking about it. Like for example, I have a friend of our family has a child that is autistic, and like I'm just like I ask them questions. I try to learn. I'll sometimes share things that I've come across, that might be useful information. Like I'll just do that because I'm just thinking, like, because for me, obviously, because that my special interest is like neurodivergent kids and stuff. But where anything else, I'd just be interested. Anytime like I hear about a new thing, I learn about it, and I don't know what that is. Oh, I think I got a bot in chat. If you can get rid of that shadow.
No, I'm not on your YouTube shit.
Oh, oh, it's YouTube. That's right. That's weird. They're just saying V and Almighty Gamer. Maybe they'll stop. I don't know.
Oh, shit still sounds awful. Fuck.
What? Yeah, it does. It
My
sounds
mic
awful.
still sounds bad.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Oh, Twitch. Withers had said something on Twitch. It said, Angst, bro, it's hard to make movies like that and people will watch it. Yeah, but that's why it shouldn't be up to movies, right? It shouldn't be movies. Like teaching people that like to learn and care about things. Like, what the fuck? Like like some aspects of pop culture and entertainment are just a fucking cancer. They fucking put brain worms in us. They're just like yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's a bot. It's a weird bot. It's not saying anything. It's a weird bot. But yeah, I know I'm just rambling. I'm not making too much sense. But like there's just a very strong sort
I
of.
think I figured it out. Do I
There,
sound
you got
better?
it. You sound perfect.
Discord just straight up was not using my correct microphone.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know why.
I don't know why either.
But it's kind of like that. Like, okay, let's accept this kind of overarching idea of like it teach the difference between like suffering we can control, suffering we can't control. Just teach lessons on the subject and what it is, how it can sometimes be beneficial, how it can sometimes be without control, sometimes it's detrimental, sometimes it's like it's just that's like that's almost like a lesson that like most parents refuse to teach their children. As like that should be some life lesson shit.
Yeah, I don't know because God knows I've tried to figure out why people aren't just as inquisitive as I am, let alone the fact that, like these people claim that they care about you and they care a great deal, and that some would even say they love you, and then they don't do the things that would tell you, that would show you, the actions that show you that they're being, truthful.
That they're being
Like, how can you say you love someone and completely ignore the fact that they just said they're fucked up in the head and just sweep it under the rug? Like, how does that work? How can you get so angry at the notion that they present to you the idea that you don't actually care if you don't show them that you care? Why?
Yeah, I'm just yeah, I mean it really is.
So I don't know. Like I heard when you said like acknowledging suffering gives it some validity, but I've experienced to know that's wrong.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's more. Yeah, you're right. It would require some kind of action. That's why it's so hard because it does require more than just knowing. I think like I said, that's just like a weird thing of mine. Like for example, there is stuff that I absolutely can't do anything about that I know a significant amount about that other people would not want to know anything about, right? And like for me, one of those things, and I stopped for a while because it was getting to me, but I think I'm in a better place to where I can think about this stuff and discuss it without getting too crazy. But for me, it was, and don't get me banned just for mentioning this, but for me, it was the subject matter of child trafficking. Like it was just something I always learned about and read into, and it was just like some weird like thought of just like fuck like I said, it's some weird schizo thought of like you can't these things just can't happen, and nobody talks about them, nobody knows, like these things can't just happen, and it's just like we can't stop it, we probably can't stop it, but god like we need to be able to at least know what's happening, because like I don't know, it's like a weird thing, like I can't think about it not happening.
I mean, to an extent, there are plenty of ways people talk about that subject without directly talking about it, right? There's always the don't leave children unattended. There's always the people that, the lost and found at theme parks.
Yeah.
Just average stuff like that. That kind of goes without literally bringing up the topic, they still kind of, talk about it. No?
No, I get what you're saying. It just like it's so weird, right? Like there's certain things that are kind of like within the when it comes to suffering and stuff. There's certain things that are very much in the schizo realm that is it's very difficult for somebody that's not on that side of the spectrum to understand, and that's like psychological suffering over like meta preoccupations. So like I could like it's weird because like if I talk to the regular person and tell them about and they know me, even if they're a friend or whatever, unless I'm talking to one of my Zoid friends, then they get it usually. But if I'm talking about like, oh, somebody did something really cruel to me in my life, right? They're gonna be like most people are gonna be like listening and wondering what happened and curious if they like know me in some interpersonal capacity. If I tell them, right, and they might even sympathize or empathize, and then but then like if I tell that same person, oh man, like I'm all fucked up this week, and they're like, wow, what happened? And I'm like, I just learned some stuff on the news about the subject matter that I'm very sensitive about, and it's like I can't stop thinking about it, and I need some support. Like I need to like I don't know, I need to be heard, or maybe or something like I don't know, whatever. Like or
But
if
see,
it was
here's the thing: you went up to the wall. There's the problem. You brought to them the wall.
yeah, I
You know what
know.
I mean
But
by
even if you
that? Yeah.
talk to your therapist, right? If you talk to your therapist about like, oh,
Well, yeah. Again, the wall.
yeah. But like I just think about it, like the way even a therapist would approach your your grief or your sadness or your misery over this like thing that has no direct connection to you. They're gonna what are they gonna do? They're gonna do two things. They're generally gonna do the thing where they tell you it's just like you're just um it's just intrusive thoughts and you need to like stop thinking about that, focus on your own life, don't think about things you can't do anything about, blah blah blah. Like for the schizo, that shit's not gonna work. That's not gonna
Well,
help.
technically, like if we want to go a little bit deeper into that, you know what that actually is doing? You
What?
know what they're actually telling you?
What?
You know the thing you care about? Stop caring about. You know that
Yeah,
emotion you
yeah,
feel
that's
because
what
you're
I
human?
mean. Yeah.
Stop doing that.
That's what I mean.
Is
But
that not what they're like?
it
Even if
feels that
like good
way.
intentions aside, that's kind of what they're
Well, this
saying.
is what's so crazy because, like, if you go to the same therapist and you tell them that there's like a relationship in your life that is causing you the same level of misery, uh, now there's something to talk about. Now there's something. It's not like just some hyperfixation or just something because it's something you could control in your life, and it's like, well, what if it doesn't always work that way for everybody, right? Like I've always been really, really like internally. I don't really show it obviously, and most of the time I would just kind of like I don't know. I felt like my body could feel it, but then like my brain would just kind of disassociate from it or whatever. But it would just be stuff like that. It would be things that like I would hear on the television or hear on the radio or see on a YouTube video or hear mentioned, and I would just be like, oh man, like and then I would like it would be that part of me that battles. It's like, do I want to learn about this terrible thing that is like I don't know about? That's about people suffering, and I'm just like, yeah, yeah, I do. And it's like, I don't know, man. I don't, I don't know. I'm just kidding. I went off completely into the weeds at this point.
I mean, you're talking about
Just walk
suffering.
away from the screen, yo. Well, you're wrong. That's not how that works. The screen comes with me. Um,
The, like there's a pretty good like line in the God of War games I'm thinking of right now when you mentioned that, and it was the line where Kratos tells his son to close his heart, and then by the end of the last game, Kratos realizes he was wrong and that he should tell his son to open his heart because that's who his son is. That's something he shouldn't ever change. And that sticks with me because that's kind of what you're exactly talking about. That's what the therapist, like, if you have these intrusive thoughts, right, or these delusional thinking, like, things, or any, like, even positive symptoms of any sort, right, there is a degree where the person, maybe not like consciously, but there is a degree at which you know it's intangible. Like, you know it's a thought, right? And you know there's a bit of separation between you and the thing you're thinking. Telling them that isn't going to do shit.
No.
The only thing it's going to do is invalidate their experience and make them feel like, oh, I've hit the wall. Now I can't talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that does.
That's where it stops.
That's where it stops.
As it gets. Yeah.
Trying to make them change because you don't know how to deal with it, and changing them seems easier to you than it does for them, is not the answer. Obviously. Duh. So you have to learn how to manage the thing. Like, you have to understand that this is part of who I am, and trying to get rid of who I am is not a good solution. Prime example, Schizoid. But then you have to learn not how to just deal with it, because then you get into bad object territory. You have to learn how to just balance it.
Yeah,
right? Because it can be productive. Like, there's plenty of times where I'm very apathetic, right? There's a lot of, like, for example, politics, right? World politics, just and usually when it has to do with politics, I don't give a flying fuck.
Just tune out.
Like, there's a war going on, not in my country, that I don't really think about because I don't really want to think about it. What I want to do, right? But there are people that do care about it, that are in the same position that I am. Other side of the world, no relation whatsoever to it. But I not only respect their decision to think about it, but I welcome it, because God knows I'm not going to think about it, so I'm glad someone else is, right? It takes a village. So when they bring it up to me, I will talk with them about it. I will not just block them out, right?
Yeah, I know there are 2 wars going on right now. It's fucking insane.
I don't really know much of anything about it. But when they bring it up, I will converse with them about the subject, despite not knowing a great deal, and despite knowing that I do have a good deal of apathy for them. Because I don't think people should do anything, but I respect and welcome the fact that they do things that I do not. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Just getting caught up in thought, that's all.
Because they'll care about politics, right? Their interest is in the war the wars that are happening outside of the world. And then I bring up a topic of psychology to them, and how that relates to everything they're talking about, right? Because they come at it from the person I was speaking to was a marginalized group. They related to a lot of marginalized groups themselves. And that's how they came about caring about the wars so much, because they were connected to the marginalized groups in the wars. So I brought up psychology from kind of being a marginalized group myself, because, neurodivergent, autistic, whatever you want to say, schizoid, all that shit. But they don't have any idea what really the things I think about and I study on. So I bring in my 2 cents to the table, and I welcome their 2 cents to the table, and then are a little bit better for it.
Yeah, just kind of.
So I think
information.
Yeah, I think it's okay that I don't care about a lot of things, because I think that it's just human nature to not care about a lot of things. That's why I make it, like, I make it very adamant I'm very adamant about people who do care about things to continue to care about those things. Because if we all cared about our individual things and actually, talked with each other about those things and worked as a team instead of individually,
Yeah.
then it works. It just works.
There is, I feel like there's, I agree with you. And I think we both agree that there are some things or certain things that if you're in that particular field, you should have it. You should know about it. You should go out of your way to learn as much as you can about things that are even outside of your specific wheelhouse when you're like a certain type of medical doctor or scientist or whatever. Like at least within that field, you should do everything you can to learn as much as you possibly can, especially when when you're talking human suffering. I think when you're
Well, let's not get a little too based here, Angst. I think you're asking a lot.
No, I'm saying that like if you're in a field that involves human
Yeah,
suffering,
I think you're asking a lot for the people that are supposed to be in these respected institutions to care. Hold on,
it's sad that that's a lot. It shouldn't be a lot. I don't know. I don't think it's a lot. But
no, it's sarcastic.
Okay. Okay. I wasn't sure. But there are. I feel like there are some things that everyone should give a shit about. Maybe not like fibromyalgia, right? That should be the medical community giving a shit about that the most, obviously. But there are some things that everyone should. I know that's a what is it called? Qualities.
What's one of them?
Well, fucking one of the ones that interests me, which is child trafficking. That should be something that people should give a shit about. Anything that involves, for me, but that's just me. Anything that involves the suffering of children in any capacity is something that I think most humans on Earth should have a vested interest in. I mean, it is our fucking next generation of our species and all that kind of shit, and they're probably going to make a lot of decisions in the near 20 or 30 years as we get older that are going to significantly impact us. But like, but even in reverse, it doesn't, because like, it's so crazy. Like a lot of these people grow up, they go old, they become boomers, and it's like they just shit all over the generation prior. It's just the weirdest fucking thing. How do they forget every time?
Because they stop connecting with the younger generations.
It's so pathetic. Like that stuff's just like.
Plus, they came from a different generation, right?
Yeah,
so
that's. I think doesn't like click for me. Like I said.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think the biggest problem with that is trauma. And what I mean by that is the younger generations, like the boomer generation, don't have the resources nor the community that the younger generation does. The internet has completely changed the world. Completely. It is a completely different world.
Do you think it's going to get better because of this? When it comes to because it's going to be more and more generations that are
honestly
more aware of stuff?
Well, I'm biased, right? But in my honest opinion, I would say yes. Because I think metacognition is being taught to the younger generation because of the internet.
Oh, I agree with you, Don. As far as the end clients, yeah, like my interest in the subject of the stopping of child trafficking, yeah, like it's about knowing where the money is, who's connected to that money, and then just not voting for those people if voting even matters, and then you get into some other territories of
I don't want to get into that because I'm 23. I'm completely and utterly disconnected from whatever politics are.
It's just this kind of like it's just this kind of feeling that I hear all the time. It's like, oh well, if you can't do anything about it, you might as well not think about it. Like it's just it feels like, yeah, that's fine for the individual, but then when you have like 1 million people 5 million, 10 million people saying that, then you're just 9 ain't shit gonna happen. Like that very lesson alone is just a ridiculous fallacy. It's a complete fallacy.
Actually, that's a good point, friend. I don't think saying I don't care is quite right. I think it's I choose not to think about it. I think that is a better way to say it. Because I think obviously I like do care because it can get a little bit worked up when talking about politics. If I hate it so much, that means I care a little bit at least.
Here's some aspect of it, yeah, maybe. Oh, before everyone ends up leaving, because we're getting close to the end here. Guys, who's here? Oh, there's still like a few of you here. Here, I'm gonna post this, please, guys. I want to mention this so that Joanna doesn't kill me. So here, it's now.
No, it's okay. I'll let her.
Huh? Okay, cool.
I'll allow it.
It's now open again. So signups are currently open. We already hit up the waiting list. Not everyone's hit us back up, so there's still some open spots for the here, I put it in for the Schizoid coaching group that me and Joanna from the YouTube channel Mind Mastery do. We've already done a bunch of them. It's a 8-week program. She's a psych coach. I'm me, and we focus on whatever I am, and we focus on schizoid issues, dilemmas, problems, and it's like a group thing. And I know that sounds kind of crazy. Why would a bunch of schizoids want to be in the same group? It is strange, and it is different. And me and Joanna have learned quite a bit on how to manage it all, and how to ask the questions, and how to approach things, and everything else. We've been doing it for a little while now. So if you are interested in something like that, please, you can sign up there. There's still a few seats open. And then the way it works is basically you sign up, and then you submit some information so we have a better understanding, and then we try to cater the sessions themselves and the themes and the ideas and various other things kind of in conjunction with the people in that group. So it's not a ginormous group, so there isn't a whole bunch of seats or anything. But if you're interested in anything like that, you want to give something a shot, it's, like I said, 8 weeks, an hour and a half each, once a week, and it's not crazy expensive considering how much people charge for this sort of shit. All right, give me 1 second, guys. Little one's here. Oh, where'd she go? She's not there?
I don't know if particularly the things I would say I don't care about or just choose to be inactive for are things that I accept will always exist. I don't choose to be inactive because I think it's unresolvable. I just simply choose to be inactive because I don't want to deal with it. Quite simply. I subjectively do not want to deal with a problem, so I choose not to. No more, no less.
Well, I mean, I think the best thing that could happen is if every human being, they can't worry about everything, right? And all the suffering,
That's why it takes a village mindset.
Yeah, exactly, and I agree with you. But I think the fundamental thing that needs to be taught to human children is just the concept and the idea and a little taste of what suffering is. Not like that, not make them suffer, but you know what I mean. Like just the subject and talk about it. Maybe not children, maybe teenagers, maybe college 101s or something.
And if you really want to get like my with the question you asked me earlier, if do you think things will get better? I think that's exactly what the internet's offered the younger generations.
Yeah, it's kind of
because obviously,
suffering, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of cringe, right? There's a lot of people that are still, training wheels, right?
Yeah.
But I use the phrase training wheels instead of saying they're misguided.
Yeah,
Because
like,
they're human too. They're learning. They'll figure it out. It takes people a long while to figure shit out.
like one thing I noticed, like for example, my daughter, right? She's 13. Right? Well, she's 12. She's gonna turn 13. She has her friends in school, right? She's in junior high now, and like there's subject matters that she's like kind of well versed in to some degree or understands that I might have known something about, but that was because I was the weirdo in my school. That she's just, her and her friends just all like very just, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that's something that's not okay, or that's something, or people's boundaries should be respected. You know, people should have enough self-worth to not like let themselves be treated really badly by somebody. Like there's just like these kind of like things that are just becoming a little more common, or and also certain types of things that like for my generation, I would say, especially since I was like, you know, early 2000s in high school. It was like late 90s, early 2000s. It was kind of like race, right? Like race was kind of like by 2000, a lot of the stuff that they really focused on in the 90s and the 80s was just racial relations, race. Like they were just talking about, and the whole idea that they were focusing on was it was the whole which honestly there's people that are completely against it now, but it's the whole being what they call colorblind now, right? But basically you know, not judging other people by the color of their skin type thing, right? And they focused on that, and they taught a bunch of lessons on that, and then they also focused on like basically not like judging people on merit and merit alone and all this kind of shit. And obviously it didn't work with some people, but like I know, like in my school when I was in high school, yeah, it just wasn't a subject that the kids talked about. It wasn't like there wasn't like much of a division. There wasn't like a issue with, oh, you know, here are where the Latino kids hang out, this is where the black kids hang out, this is where the white kids, like it's just none of that really. Was just like everyone was just all mixed up, and nobody gave a shit, and all everyone was talking about was like the latest episode of some show and like what Pokemon they have, right? And like and
You know, it's a good movie.
what
21 Jump Street.
the funny
You ever
one?
seen that one?
Yes.
Yeah, the funny one, the comedy
See
one.
the sequel? They're both funny.
No, but like one of the like things in that was, you know, you had the stereotypical jock cop and then the nerd cop, right?
Yeah,
and then they go and like they pretend to be high schoolers, and the whole gig was that the jock felt out of place because the nerd or the kids were more accepting of the nerd instead of the jock, because that's just how the generation changed.
Yeah, and his generation is the meathead stopped being cool, right?
I think that's a great analogy
like,
for
cool
one
in
of the
80s,
benefits the internet has offered.
or whatever. He was cool in like the early 90s or in late 80s, but he's like no.
I mean, we could list the sins of the internet, right? It's
of course.
a pretty long list, but one of them, and you can even argue
saving points.
one of the pros, virtues of the internet, you could say, is even something as close by as comparing to Schizoid, that is, you know, middle-aged, older, without the internet, that's now just getting access to the internet, and someone like me who's 23, who's had the internet my whole life, right? There's a completely different gap there, and there's that problem of once we got access to the internet, then we were at the same starting point, despite me being 23 and them being 30, 40, even 50 years older, right? Because the internet is what allowed us access to the very people that we needed exposure to.
Yeah.
You know, the voices that did need to speak up. So that's one of the virtues that I think is why things are getting better.
I mean,
because, like, if we look at generational gaps,
yeah,
my grandfather treated my dad like shit, like just actual shit, and I'm sure his dad before him treated him even
Did
shittier.
you have like anything like a racist grandpa or grandma or anything like that?
No.
Or great grandfather maybe?
Well, I'm sure my grandfather is racist in his own ways, but I feel like he wasn't like, I don't know, he didn't care as much. Like, he could probably get racist when he was angry, but he usually wasn't angry.
He was probably progressive for his generation.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So,
You know
but
what I
he
mean?
treated his father probably treated him like actual like traumatic like shit. He treated my father like actual shite. My father treated me less shite, but still kind of shite. And God forbid, if I ever have kids, I know for a fact I would at least treat them less shite than my dad treated me, right? So if we look at it on that scale, things are getting better.
Probably because I think you know what's really interesting is I think the internet is, you know how like books and various forms of data collecting essentially were they were used to there's a word for it, I can't think of it right now, but it was a way to offload like types of evolution or cultural evolution that you couldn't like keep in your DNA, like basically things that humanity evolved that wasn't in their DNA, so they had to find a different medium to carry it over and let it further evolve, right? And
I have no idea.
there's a term for it, but what's interesting, and that's what first it was like oral stories, right? And then writing came, and then you can offload more information, store it, and archive it, and eventually books became a problem because they start disintegrating everything. So better versions of books and things like that. Oh, and then we had CDs and computers, and then we had, you know, various forms of storage devices to keep more and more data, more and more information, right?
Oh, there's who is it? Was it Nietzsche that's been dead for 100 years now?
Nietzsche.
Almost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look,
There is
about Lovecraft, and he's
there
been
is
for like
yeah,
100
but
years.
well, I'm talking personal, right? Because I am subjective. Just on like a subjective basis for me, there is a 100-year gap between me and Nietzsche, and hearing his, or not Nietzsche. No, yeah, it was Nietzsche, but him talking about his like, what did he call his nihilism? Or did you just make up the term for it?
I didn't make up for it. Some people refer to it as active nihilism, but
Active nihilism, whatever. But the way he described his nihilism being a way to foster hope,
yeah,
has completely changed the way I perceive the world, and that's someone who's been dead for 100 years.
That's what I mean. That's that kind of evolution that I'm talking about. It's like a cultural form where human beings can offload information and then give it to future generations, and then the brains and minds of those generations can like essentially continue this kind of evolution. And I do want to end it on this, and I think it's kind of an important note. Is that with technology advancing as fast as it is, right? We're already having all this trouble keeping up with it. I believe that the only way to sort of, in a way, overcome certain aspects of the human condition that just technology, that we can't keep up with, like certain aspects of us. I think some of it is through metacognition, and what I mean by that, and why it's so important, is that eventually, I don't know, it might be science fiction, maybe not in my lifetime, but eventually we're probably going to reach a point where a lot of these things that makes us that people currently still struggle with, and even neurodivergency, will become an obsolete thing, right? Because of technology. Like then
we'll have to worry about the racial divide between humans and robots.
Yeah,
eventually.
I know. That's what I mean, though. Like,
right, or like far into the future, the concept of someone's sex doesn't even like
yeah, that's what I
there
mean.
is
Like,
there is
sex,
no concept
race.
of someone's
Once
sex
you once
because
you
you
get to
just change out the
cyberpunk type
parts,
fucking futures, yeah,
right? So
everybody can
that kind
just
of
like everyone
aspect.
can fucking buy new skins, and there'll be people with fucking purple skin and then fucking whatever. My point is, but the divisions will still
Yeah,
be
shit
there,
like
right?
that.
There's gonna be
Yeah,
divisions between people that are modded and not modded and augmented
yeah, the
and
same overlying
yeah.
bias that
But
there
yeah,
was
that's
before.
that's what I mean. There's gonna be just more. It's just gonna keep looping. And I think the only way to get rid of that loop is just to basically. I think that's one of the arguments, and I don't agree with it either. But the way they pose it, I think that's one of the arguments that a lot of people that consider themselves like globalists believe. But they're missing. They're missing some parts there as well.
And that's not to play a little bit more devil's advocate. As much as I want to agree with you about the whole nihilistic, there will still be bias in the future. I agree with that, right?
It's not
But
nihilistic. I just think it's pretty.
it's a little bit.
There's always gonna be something. Like, I mean, if we don't
But
change, my point is if it doesn't change, it's just gonna keep going forever and ever.
yeah, but to say that it's part of human nature for that overarching, bias to outgroup is a bit nihilistic in the sense that you don't believe it could ever be different or even lessened, right?
Well, that's not the same. No, that'd be fatalistic. Probably closer. Like it would be just believing something that's negative is going to remain negative and stay negative forever. That's more like that's a little bit closer to fatalism. But but my point is I don't believe it's going to stay like that forever. In fact, I believe it's going to stay like that forever if we don't do something about it. And one of the things that we need to do, and I know we've just entered complete schizo world at this point, one of the things that we need to do is
I
get
don't know, it makes
rid
sense
of
to
this.
me, and I'm autistic.
Yeah, but it's to get rid of this notion that things like that are just human nature. It's that notion.
And
that notion
what
alone
really
is
changed
what
my
needs to
mind.
be over time. Like use this cultural evolution that we have available to
Mhm.
us and the technology. But anyway, sorry.
That one game I mentioned to you not too long ago, the Talos Principle. I was playing the second one, and what changed my mind was, and not to give too many spoilers or anything, but there was a part where you have to make a decision, and the decision was essentially you either allow humanity to have tools that would allow them to not repopulate, but advance onto the stars, into the cosmos. And you have to choose whether or not you trust them to do that. Whether you trust the people you give the technology to wouldn't just be doomed to repeat the failures of humanity past. And originally I chose no. I don't trust them.
Don't spoil
because
it. I still have to play it.
Okay, but I'm not trying to spoil too much, right? And you'll probably forget it by the time you get there.
Okay.
And I chose no. And I'm not spoiling anything by explaining this. But I went out of my way to talk to the very people I would be denying this technology to.
Mm-hmm.
And damn near every single one of them, after I met the people I had just earlier said I don't trust, tell me and give me reasons why I should actually trust them. It was like a mind-blowing experience of, what was that one phrase? A person is smart, but people are stupid. You know that?
Yeah, I know that one.
Like, I met the people I said I couldn't trust because their human nature would never allow them to do the things that would happen.
Yep.
And then I fucking met them, and then I changed my mind.
That's why I have some issues with like I said the kind of globalist perspectives, because a lot of these globalist perspectives are kind of fueled by these beliefs of human nature, and it's never going to change, and it's always going to be like this, and it's just, and I understand it. I understand the sentiment, and it feels that way a lot of the days for me, but all I can do is try to do something about it in whatever capacity that I can. And then if I die and it was worthless, then fuck it. I guess it was worthless. I don't care. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna end the stream here. Please, if you enjoy the stream, PayPal, Patreon, all that kind of stuff's really fucking useful, dude. Like that $5 a month from you guys, super helpful. If you suddenly come upon an inheritance or something, you want to send me a little chunk of that, go ahead. I got the PayPal. All this stuff eventually just goes to like me being able to keep this project going, keep the stuff going. I have a nonprofit. I'm just sitting on it because I don't have any kind of starter money for it. But there's some people I'm talking to that might help me a little bit. But yeah, I have a lot of stuff. I want to do. But time and money. It's always time and money. But in any case, thanks a lot, guys. And please, if you want to sign up for the Mind Mastery, there's the Schizoid. And please sign up for it. I put the link in the chat. There's still a few spaces. That shit gets taxed too. That's the one thing I want to work toward too, is getting it, making it tax exempt. I want to make it tax exempt so that I can start telling people with money that are eventually interested, hey, you can donate this and just write it off as well. I mean, like, I could write it off, they could write it off. I mean, you know what I mean?
Writing off. The whole concept of writing off. Oh, that's a story for another day.
Yeah, but that's the only way, like you said. Right now, that's like one of the ways that motivates.
The very fact that you're writing off thing. Oh,
whatever.
I'm not getting into.
Yeah. But anyway, so then, so that, yeah, I have to give people with money something to want to write off, and I would need to tell them to pick me, use me to write things off. Because don't use that thing over there. That thing is like a lot like less useful. Like, stop writing things off on like charities that are fucking literally using only like the tiniest % of what they get toward the goal or project. Stop writing your shit off.
Be careful, Angst. Be careful, Angst. You might be calling yourself a good object if you tell them that.
Shut up. Anyway,
you really want to proclaim yourself to be a good object?
Shut up. As well as yeah. But yeah, because like I'm not looking to get rich. I'm just looking to take care of my family and live an okay life while I focus all the rest of my energy on this.
Oh no, Chad. He sounds like a good person. We might have to crucify him.
Okay, I'm gonna ban you. In any case, thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you guys on Thursday. But remember, Thursdays they're Tragic Thursdays. So by the time it's Thursday, I work a full-time job. Actually, I'm working overtime right now, so I'm working like 50 hours a week. I'm fucking exhausted. So by the time Thursday hits, I'm pretty wrecked, and it's just probably going to be me sitting there playing some video games and chilling. If you're okay with that, cool. If you're not, then don't bother. But if you want to have me in the background, that's always nice. And I'm on both Twitch and YouTube as well. Okay, guys. As usual, when day is dark, what do we do, Shadow?
We burn in hell.
No, we don't burn in hell. When day is dark, we remember Happy Day. Okay, guys? Remember Happy Day.
No, I'll see y'all in hell.
All right.